Amelia, sign this divorce document now. When you're done, get out with our daughter. This is final. After more than 3 months of a long business trip, my husband Brian came home. Right after that, he thrust a divorce document at me. I was on the phone, but I put my smartphone down and exchanged looks with my daughter Mary. Then, I told my husband, "What are you talking about? You're the one who's leaving. Dad, you really don't know anything, do you? You're such a fool." "Huh? What are you two talking about? This house belongs to my dad, and I'm going to inherit it eventually. So it's my house. When I say get out, you get out." My daughter and I were stunned by my husband's absurd argument. As Mary just said, my husband didn't know anything. On the contrary, we knew everything. How much of a fool he is. That his life is over. To deliver the first blow, I pulled out a piece of paper. Brian's expression quickly turned to confusion. "Hey, Amelia. What's that? Why do you have a divorce document ready? And why is your name already on it? What's going on?" "Oh, I was planning to divorce you from the start. That's why I had the paper ready. Since you prepared it for me, I'll sign yours." With a calm demeanor, I reached for his divorce paper. Then, Brian snatched it away with a furious look. "Are you kidding me? That's not what I'm asking. Why were you planning to divorce me? You're hiding something, aren't you? Tell me the truth." It was like watching a 3-year-old throw a tantrum. He must hate not getting his way. I was astonished once again at how foolish he is. It seemed I'd be astonished many times today. Come on. The one who's kidding is you, Dad. How can you ask why Mom was planning to divorce you when you have a mistress and a secret child? Huh? Mary, what are you talking about? A mistress and a secret child? There's no way. Then why are you divorcing Mom? Isn't it for your mistress and secret child? Tell us. Brian clammed up. He seemed surprised by the unexpected counterattack. He had always looked down on me. He was indifferent to our daughter, not knowing her likes or dreams. The fact that we brought up a mistress and a secret child flustered him. But he soon regained his composure and countered in a calm voice. "Mary, my divorce from your mom isn't because of an affair. Adults have various reasons. But none of those reasons include a mistress or a secret child. Besides, there's no proof, right? Don't jump to conclusions." There was a bit of confidence on his face. He probably thought we didn't have any proof. Indeed, he was cautious, and I couldn't find evidence at home. So I hypothesized that he was having an affair on his business trips. This time, he was on a long business trip for over 3 months, and over the past few years, he'd been going on more trips and coming home less often. So, I decided to follow him. I discovered a shocking truth he was hiding, but he had no idea I knew everything. I'll say it again. Don't jump to conclusions without proof. If you're going to doubt me, show me the evidence. That's common sense. Common sense. It doesn't make sense coming from someone who's unreasonable. And we wouldn't doubt you without proof, right? Here, this is the proof you wanted. I handed Brian a photo. Immediately, he showed his biggest shock of the day. In the photo, he was meeting secretly with his mistress. To be specific, it showed him inviting her into an apartment. The two of them in the photo looked like a fresh, new couple. For me, it was utterly disgusting. How did you get this photo? Did you follow me and secretly take this? Bingo! I followed you on your business trip. You looked down on me, so you were off guard, right? Thanks to that, it was easy to take the photo. My sinister smile made his anger rise even more. As Mary said, he planned to divorce me for his mistress and secret child. To discard us like unwanted things. Maybe I could have endured it if it were just me. But he disregarded our daughter, too. That was something I couldn't forgive. When I gave him a look of deep resentment, he glared back but soon smirked. Nice try, Amelia. Maybe I did look down on you. But it doesn't change anything now that you know. I'm leaving you for a new family. So get out of my house. My house. As I said before, you're the one leaving. Because this isn't your house. Mom's right, Dad. You pack up and leave. I don't want to see your face anymore. Huh? I told you from the start. This house belongs to my dad, and I'm going to inherit it. It's my house. Right then, I pulled out a paper I had prepared. For a moment, he didn't understand and looked at the paper in confusion. After checking the contents several times, he shouted in disbelief. Amelia, adopted by my dad? What does this mean? Yes, the paper I had prepared was an adoption certificate. It clearly stated that I was adopted by my father-in-law. Brian lost his mind and began to scratch his head violently. I calmly explained the facts. The truth is, I formed an adoption bond with your father. I'm supposed to inherit this house. So, it's not your house. You're the one who has to leave. Got it? There's no way I can get it. Dad formed an adoption bond with you and is giving you the house? This can't be real. This is a fake document, right? Amelia. You went to great lengths to deceive me. Fake? No way. Faking an official document is a serious crime. I wouldn't take such a risk. Especially not for a loser like you. Contrary to his hysterical state, I was calmer than ever. I was just stating the facts. The unchangeable facts. But I understood why he was losing his mind. His mother passed away when he was young, and his father raised him single-handedly. As a result, his father doted on him. Brian also showed his gratitude towards his father. So, he couldn't believe it and shouted. This is absolutely impossible. There's no way Dad would give you the house. You don't have to believe me. I'm just stating the facts. No matter how much you rant, it won't change anything. If you don't believe me, why don't you ask him yourself? At those words, I pointed somewhere. Brian's gaze followed my finger. There was my smartphone. The one I had put down when he thrust the divorce paper at me. I had placed it face down, so he picked it up and flipped it over. Immediately, his face turned pale, and he started shaking. Seeing that, I smirked again. Brian. It's all true. Everything Amelia said. A male voice came from the smartphone, making him tremble even more. It was his father's voice. In fact, I had been on the phone with his father, keeping it on speaker. Our entire conversation had been heard by his father. Knowing this, Brian seemed to be paralyzed with fear. Dad, why? I should be the one asking that. Why did you have a mistress and a secret child, hurting Amelia and Mary? I'm almost at your house. Let's talk face to face. With that, he hung up. Brian looked at me in a daze, his eyes devoid of any strength. The usually arrogant man who always looked down on me now seemed as meek as a lamb. I had calculated that my father-in-law was my husband's Achilles heel, but the impact was greater than I had anticipated. But this wasn't the end. In fact, it was just the beginning. There were still hidden truths my husband didn't know. A few minutes later, my father-in-law arrived, confronting my husband. His face was red with anger, while Brian was pale as a sheet. Brian spoke first. Dad, there must be some mistake, right? You're going to leave this house to me, aren't you? The adoption with Amelia was a lie, right? I thought so too, until I learned your true nature. You look down on Amelia, neglect Mary, and even have a mistress and a secret child. You deceived me too, didn't you? I don't have a mistress or a secret child. Amelia is just making things up. Don't lie. I know she followed you and took pictures of you cheating. How much more do you intend to disappoint me? My father-in-law's piercing gaze cut through my husband. Even I felt a chill watching it, and Brian fell silent, looking down. Having been found out, all my husband could do was confess and apologize. That would have been the minimum he could do. Had he apologized then, there might have been a chance for a better future. But he started making more excuses. Dad, don't be fooled. Amelia must be after your inheritance, and she faked those photos. It's easy to edit photos these days, right? And one photo doesn't prove I have a mistress and a secret child. Despite his fear, my husband spoke smoothly. He was a top salesperson at his company, known for his persuasive skills. His plan was to talk his way out of this situation. If we knew nothing, he might have succeeded in deceiving us. But we knew everything. So I decided to silence him with my next move. Brian, look at the photo again. There's something clearly off about it. I pulled out the photo of him inviting his mistress into the apartment. I forgot to mention earlier, but this woman is a friend from high school. I go on business trips often, right? I asked her to temporarily store some of my stuff. She also treated me to meals sometimes, but she's not a mistress. So you went to her place? That's the strange part. In the photo, you're inviting her in. If it were her place, it should be the other way around, right? This apartment is rented by you, right? Just for cheating. As I pressed the point, Brian's eyes darted around in panic. He had an expression as if to ask, "How do you know that much?" Unable to answer, he fell silent, and our daughter Mary spoke up next. Dad, I told Mom about it. I figured you rented an apartment for cheating. You may not know, but I love reading novels and want to be a writer someday. I've read many novels, and there are stories like yours. Guys renting apartments just to cheat on their wives. Mary showed him several novels and flipped to the relevant pages. As Brian read them, he saw stories similar to his own. Renting an apartment just to cheat. Dad, you're really stupid. Even if she's a friend from high school, what kind of nerve does it take to casually go to a single woman's place? What is Mom to you? Didn't you marry her because you love her? Mary's tone showed she truly wanted to know. Despite his earlier claim that adults have their reasons, it was evident he was lying, and Mary deeply despised him for it. It's just a story in a novel. It has nothing to do with me. The idea of an apartment just for cheating is ridiculous. I didn't do that. Come on, Dad, you can revoke the inheritance decision, right? You're just being deceived. Ignoring his daughter's cold gaze, Brian pleaded with his father. But my father-in-law's expression remained stern as he stared straight at him. By this point, Brian should have realized the significance of my father-in-law adopting me and transferring the house to me. As I've said repeatedly, we knew everything. We didn't intend to corner him with just one photo or a novel's content. My father-in-law produced a thick envelope he had prepared. Brian seemed to sense something and began trembling again. When he saw the contents, he slumped in defeat. The envelope contained an investigation report and photos from a private detective. The photos showed Brian with his mistress and their child. We had thoroughly prepared by hiring a professional. While my husband's infidelity was evident from the start, there was more to it. Brian. I've been thinking. Why did you rent an apartment just for cheating? The detective told me the answer. You've had multiple mistresses at your business trip destinations, right? You rented several apartments for that purpose. You pretended to be single to cheat. You investigated that deeply? Then you should have said so from the beginning. Are you kidding me? Who's kidding who? You rented multiple apartments for multiple mistresses. You deceived not just me, but everyone to satisfy your desires. Isn't that outrageous? I was angrier than I had ever been in my life. My husband's selfish behavior hurt many people. On top of that, he had the nerve to accuse me. My father-in-law adopted me and transferred the house to teach him a lesson. He must have wanted to believe in his son. But when the truth came out, it showed he neglected his family and kept mistresses. In the end, he lied and made pitiful excuses. It's sad, but my father-in-law had to acknowledge it. His son had gone astray. By the way, the high school friend story is a lie, right? That woman is the daughter of the president of your client company. Her name is Rachel. Don't lie thinking we don't know anything. Dad, you're the worst. You're endlessly stupid. I never want to see you again. Get out now. Brian, confess and apologize for everything. That's all you can do. Even if it's unforgivable, show some sincerity. Finally, Brian fell completely silent. Feeling our cold, icy stares, he began to tremble again. Seeing him shrink, I thought I'd feel relieved, but I just felt a void, an emptiness. Where did we go wrong? Were we wrong from the start? These questions came to mind, but I found no answers. In any case, my relationship with Brian was over. He'd have to face the consequences. Just as I was about to speak, I was interrupted by shocking words. I'm not going to apologize. You fools! I'm not wrong. I was supporting the family, and you complain over a little cheating. Don't you have any gratitude? Answer me now. His roar made the room shake, leaving us dumbfounded. He had no intention of hiding his true nature anymore. His eyes were wild, and he continued to spew more insults. Amelia, you're just a housewife. You've got no right to defy me. I married you because I chose to, so be grateful. You should be happy you were useful to me. And I never wanted a kid. She's just a burden. Mary, you're unwanted. I regret making Amelia have you. As soon as he finished, there was a loud thud, and Brian was violently thrown to the floor. Looking to the side, I saw my father-in-law, eyes bloodshot, nostrils flaring. I was shocked to see the usually gentle man so enraged. What gives you the right to say that? You can't shoulder the responsibilities of a husband or a father, and you say you regret having Mary? Are they just tools to you? Do you only care about yourself? Answer me now. Brian, having been hit hard by his father, was in a state of shock. It was probably the first time he had seen his father so furious, let alone been hit by him. Although I don't condone violence, his words deserved no less. His comments were that terrible. As I tried to calm my father-in-law to prevent further escalation, Brian sprang up and grabbed him. Dad, you were always at work too. Every day, work, work, work. Even when Mom was in the hospital, even when her condition worsened, you didn't come back because of work. I was just imitating you. Don't act so high and mighty. Brian glared sharply at his father and let out all his pent-up feelings. His father, without looking away, kept his gaze steady but did not argue back. It was true that his father was always working. When Brian's mother was alive, they had lived a modest life. During that time, her illness was discovered, and they needed money. His father worked even harder, trying to save his wife. It was the only way he saw. As a result, he couldn't be with her in her final moments. Remembering those days, his father once said, "All I thought about was saving my wife. My duty was to be by her side. I still don't know if what I did was right." Seeing his father like this, Brian probably felt he was heartless. Surely, Brian resented him. Such misunderstandings happen quite often in this world. So, I could understand. Still, I couldn't forgive Brian. From what I could see, even Brian knew that his mother's death wasn't his father's fault. Yet, he was bringing up the past to blame him. Just to put himself in a better position. And no matter what, I couldn't tolerate him hurting our daughter. I decided to give him one last chance. Brian, don't blame your father. Everything you did was your own decision, wasn't it? Unless you change that mistaken mindset, your life is over. Listen, this is your final warning. Admit everything and apologize. Right here, right now, declare that you will change. Why would I listen to you? I'll continue to live freely as I always have. Here's my advice to you. If you get down on your knees and apologize now, I'll help you after the divorce. You're just a housewife with no skills, so you'll need money, right? You'll regret divorcing me for the rest of your life. Don't come crying to me later. That was the moment I realized any more words were useless. At the same time, it confirmed the end of Brian's life. No matter how good he was at work or how much money he had, in the end, it's all about people. A man who lost sight of what's important as a human being would never lead a proper life. Moreover, I hadn't told him everything yet. He was missing something crucial. As I looked at him with pity, he smirked and signed the divorce document before leaving the house. A heavy silence filled the room. I bowed my head and apologized to my daughter. "Mary, I'm sorry. I should have had you wait somewhere else today. You shouldn't have had to hear those awful words from Brian. I'm truly sorry." "Mom, don't worry about it." I insisted on joining the discussion. "And I'm in high school now. I'm not a child anymore. More importantly, are you okay, Mom? You don't usually get angry, so you must be exhausted, right?" My daughter gently placed her hand on my shoulder. Tears filled my eyes, and I couldn't see anything in front of me. "It's my fault he turned out this way. I'm truly sorry. I'll make sure Brian takes responsibility. Just wait." "No, Phil, it's not your fault at all. Brian's cheating was planned. It's all his wrongdoing. Besides, you stood by me and Mary. I'm truly grateful for that." I bowed deeply to my father-in-law. What I said was the absolute truth. Without him, I wouldn't have been able to fight back against my husband. And there's no need to make Brian take responsibility. He'll apologize to us without us doing anything. This isn't a prediction. To borrow Brian's words, it's a certainty. My father-in-law, though looking puzzled, smiled and gave me a reassuring pat on the back. A fitting future awaited my husband, who had thrown away his last chance. All we had to do was wait for that time to come. A few days later, while I was with my daughter, my phone rang repeatedly. The display showed all the calls were from Brian. The call log filled up quickly. After taking a deep breath, I answered the call. Immediately, a desperate cry came through. "Amelia, please. Hide me. I have no one else to turn to." "Brian, don't you have something to say before asking for help?" "Oh, right. Amelia, I was wrong about everything. I'm really sorry. I'll even get on my knees and apologize to Mary." "No, it's fine. I don't want her to see you. Anyway, I'm very busy, so I'm hanging up now. Goodbye." "No, wait. Don't hang up. I really have no one else. Actually, Rachel and the others disappeared, and I can't reach them. But the worst part is, you're being chased by the mafia, right?" "How do you know that?" Brian sounded genuinely shocked, but I knew everything. I knew Rachel wasn't actually the president's daughter and that she had lied to deceive Brian. I knew she had set him up with other mistresses behind the scenes. Brian had been played by her all along. All the money and gifts he had given to his mistresses had been collected by Rachel. She had ties with the mafia for emergencies, and now that Brian was useless, they were after him. When I revealed everything, Brian was speechless. I tried to hang up, but this time he shouted at me. "Why didn't you tell me when you knew? I'm in real trouble here. What are you going to do about it, you witch?" "To drag you into hell." But I agonized over it until the end. Whether to tell you everything and end this peacefully. That's why I gave you a final warning. You didn't listen. This is your own fault. I really have no one else. My colleagues ignore me, and my friends just laugh at me. You're the only one who can save me, Amelia. We're still married, right? What now? You treated us like tools. You told me never to come crying to you, didn't you? And now you're crying to me? Don't you have any pride? Don't say that. I'll pay you. It must be tough being a single mother, right? I'll support you, so let's make a deal. I couldn't help but laugh at his words. This man really didn't understand anything. To deliver the final blow, I revealed the last truth. I don't need your support. My income is twice yours. You earn $300,000 a year? No way, you're just a housewife. I'm not a housewife. I'm a novelist. Recently, there have been talks of anime, manga, drama, and movie adaptations. I'm not short on money. I don't need your support. You're lying. That's impossible. You never cared about me or Mary. By the way, the novels Mary reads are mine. She wants to be a novelist like me. You didn't know, did you? But you don't have to believe me. I'm just stating the facts. This time, Brian was completely silent. Neglecting his family had come back to haunt him. What an irony. Brian would likely meet a tragic end, but that wasn't my concern. I wouldn't save someone who hurt my daughter and father-in-law. After a deep sigh, I ended the call after discussing alimony and child support. Some time passed, and I heard nothing from Brian. The alimony and child support were deposited, so he was alive, but I didn't know how he was doing. However, if he didn't change his ways, only hell awaited him. Amelia. I'm sorry again. I'm truly sorry. I'm on your and Mary's side. I'll be here to protect you both. With that, my father-in-law smiled. I want to be with my family during important times. That was the answer he arrived at. Whether it was correct or not, I don't know. But he said the important thing is to keep thinking about it. Few people can clearly state the meaning or reason for their lives. The lack of an answer might be the answer itself, but within that, it's important to think about one's happiness. At least, I want to live thinking about happiness with my family. Of course, that includes my own happiness as well.